Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is about a year since I did my first article on the problems at the Swiss National Bank. At the time, I called it Paging Mr. Hildebrand. Times have now moved on, and I should really call it Paging Mr. Jordan. However, the problems remain intact. The idea at the time to peg the currency to the euro was, I think, an act of folly, and subsequent events have proved that to be the case. Every month at the moment, the amount of money the amount of money held in foreign currency, notably euros, increases at fantastic amounts. Every month, on average, the increase is almost as much as the gross national product of Switzerland. The idea of this to try to hold the Swiss franc at a relatively weak level against the euro perhaps has done some good for certain businesses, but it is taking a colossal risk with the wealth of the entire country. If we can envisage a situation today, approximately for every 10 cents in movement of the currency peg, there will be a 30 billion Swiss franc loss for the country. The way in which Switzerland can exit this situation is actually very restricted. They can either keep on printing money and money and money at the rate of 50 to 100 billion a month as this crisis gets worse, or they can stop. If they stop, then it is inevitable that the Swiss franc will gain considerable strength, and these losses, which up to now the bank has conveniently decided not to realize or not really to admit to the public, will become realized losses. That is one alternative. The other alternative is to keep pumping money into a bottomless hole, so perhaps at the end of the day we will end up with half a trillion or a trillion euros on the bank's balance sheet of the Swiss National Bank. It's a matter of astonishment to me that the board members of the bank and the major shareholders of the Swiss National Bank, notable economists and the cantons and major cantonal banks of the country have done little or nothing to make the public aware of this colossal risk. One would never ever envisage, as an individual, having such a huge risk in one currency. The Swiss bank's efforts to diversify out of the euro have been remarkably unsuccessful, which is not really very surprising. Having decided to peg itself to the weakest currency and try to find a way out, any time they try to dump their euros to buy dollars, they find themselves confronted by the central banks of the US, and similarly in Japan, with the Central Bank of Japan on the other side of the transaction, making it very difficult for them to get out of the situation on acceptable terms. It's my most sincere hope that this sad story comes to a happy end, but for the moment I very much doubt it, and will watch with interest as the European crisis works to see exactly how